Hello everyone, welcome to the Ginger Snaps here. I'll be discussing horror movies with you guys in a very blunt way. I am your host, Steven Harrold.
I'm Chris.
And in today's video, we have a anniversary type of film. And as we all know, when it comes to anniversary films, there's none that are bigger and probably more important, especially when it came to 2003, than a very specific crossover film. And that crossover film that we're talking about today is none other than Freddy vs. Jason, which was released on August 15th, 2003, 20 years ago today. Now, of course, I got the privilege to actually watch this with Chris tonight, and basically it was just go back down memory lane, where we remember back in 2003 when this movie was announced, and the hype for this movie was fucking huge.
Oh, very huge.
Like, you remember exactly what it was like back in 2003, especially with the hype for Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh yeah, it was very anticipated and sure delivered in some aspects.
Yeah, it's one of those films that has got that novelty to it, but of course, you know, over time, especially 20 years, you know, eventually at some point you end up kind of noticing some things about the films. So we're going to actually give you guys our retrospective review on this movie. It's not going to be like the standard way of how I would review a certain movie, because, I mean, it's been 20 years, and you got two different perspectives of people who want to watch this movie and review it. So you kind of have to review this movie in three parts. You have to review it as a Nightmare on Elm Street film, you have to review it as a Friday the 13th, and you got to basically review it as its own standalone film, because basically Freddy vs. Jason is its own standalone film. And with that being said, I guess I'll start with you, basically, where it was just like, what does this movie mean to you 20 years later?
I think it's in its time. I think it showed its potential back 20 years ago. Compared to now, it's very, very dull. You know, like, at least like in this movie, there is some dull parts. Now that you watch it 20 years later, and it's like there's some acting flaws and there's a lot of hiccups, but kills are great.
Kills are good, yeah. Even just this, like, even just the film itself, when it comes to its nostalgia, it's kind of good. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually break down just basically the story for you guys. Now, if you guys don't know what the story or the premise of Freddy vs. Jason is basically Freddy has been forgotten. All the kids of Elm Street and Springwood don't remember him. They don't know who he is anymore, so he has lost his power. So he resurrects Jason Voorhees to pretty much spread fear in the town of Springwood. And when he gets that fear and he gets his power back, he now realizes he can't stop Jason anymore. So that's why those two come into blows. Now, what do you think of this story?
It's a good story. There's some parts where they could have tweaked it a bit, but it's not a bad story. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, a lot worse is the other earlier drafts. Now, if you guys remember, Freddy vs. Jason was teased in the end of Jason Goes to Hell, and that was in 1993. So 10 years later, we basically end up getting a new film where you have a story that it should have been simple, cutthroat, whatever, right? But the fact that this had how many scripts, how many different writers, how many different directors attached to the fucking film, or wanted to be attached to the film, that there were some weird scripts. There was the one script where there was a whole cult of Freddy fanatics called Fred Heads. There was the Jason on Trial, all this other weird random shit. There was only one story. Like, this story, I don't mind it. It's just the one story I really liked the most was the one where Freddy killed Jason by drowning him at Camp Crystal Lake to prevent him from telling anybody that Freddy molested him. And that's why Jason has been killing all these fucking people in all the Friday the 13th movies. And I was like, I fucking like that idea, but we got this idea instead, and it's not too bad of an idea.
No, not at all.
When it comes to the characters, of this movie, of the protagonists. Now, in Nightmare on Elm Street, the characters are a lot more fleshed out. You have general sense of care for those characters, like Nancy Thompson. You have you have so many characters from Part 3, Part 4, especially Alice. You have a lot of characters that you actually grow attached to, especially in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Friday the 13th has always been the whole, let's just cast some young teens. Young teens.
Yeah.
And basically whatever. Like, the only known characters were Alice from the first film and Tommy Jarvis from 4, 5, and 6. But other than that, that was basically it. So when it comes to the characters of this film, I've already said to you that the only character I liked was Mark. And the rest of the characters I fucking don't like. I just don't like them. I don't like Monica Keena's character. It really shows a lot of white people wrote her fucking lines. Kelly Rowland's character, again, the same thing. A lot of white people wrote her fucking lines, even though she's, black. And it's like, I'm sorry, not all black people actually fucking talk like that all the damn time. You have the Linderman character. You have the Freebird fucking character. You have all those fucking characters, and they are all fucking bland. They play to their stereotype, but also at the same time, they're just fucking annoying.
I'm bad at it.
It's like they were told to act as bad as you could.
Yeah.
Like, you even said there's, like, you hated one specific character in this whole entire movie.
Oh, the main chick. What's her name?
Oh, Laurie.
Laurie.
Yeah, Laurie.
Can't stand her.
Monica Keenan's character.
Can't stand her.
I don't know if that's still a knock as Laurie for, like, Laurie Strode, but, I mean, like, they even spell her name differently, so I'm like, I don't think that's a little too much on the nose there, but whatever. But other than that, when it comes to, like, a lot of people didn't come to see the fucking characters in this movie. They came to see two specific characters, and that is Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. And as we all know, like, I'm just gonna brush on this, all right? We all know Kane Hodder was not casted as Jason in this movie, which was a fucking disappointment. It's been 20 fucking years. Yes, it still sucks, but Ken Kirsinger, like, he doesn't do a bad job as Jason. It's just the only problem is he walks like Frankenstein a little bit too much, and his movements. And I just hate his costume. It's I don't understand why they had to feel like they need to make that change.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, Robert Englund plays it well as Freddy Krueger, as we all know.
No doubt about it.
Like, Robert Englund is the master of it, and it's a crying shame that this was the last film he got to do as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And as we all know, he's now officially retired as the character now. So it's like, well, we never did get that Freddy vs. Jason sequel.
No.
Unless it's Ash versus Freddy versus Jason in the comics. That's basically it. When it comes to the kills, now, I'll let you go first when it comes to the kills, because I know you have something different compared to me when it comes to the kills. So go ahead.
The kills are great. I have to think my favorite kill.
It's usually everyone's favorite kill, I guarantee it.
Oh, the bed.
Yeah, it's everyone's favorite fucking kill in this movie.
With the cop, that one was pretty cool.
Oh, where he gets electrocuted?
Or he just grabs him and then is just getting buzzed.
Okay. What about Freddy's one and only kill?
Oh, to the stoner.
No, that wasn't the
Oh,
stoner.
that wasn't the stoner.
That was Mark, my favorite character.
Oh, yes.
In the bathroom. That oversized bathroom that looked too much like a set.
Oh, yeah. But no, he was the only good character, and yeah, he died. No one wants to get burned like that.
No, especially in the back and get slashed in the face.
Yeah.
So you say that the kills are great.
Yeah.
I don't mind specific kills in the movie, especially the ones that Jason kind of performs. Like I said, the bed sequence, that's still one of the best kills in the movie. But there are way too many kills that are way too exaggerated. Like the one guy's father, where he gets his head cut off. The minute he touches his shoulder, the fucking head falls off. It's like that. No. When did Jason have the time to just put that head right there? He would have just killed the other guy sleeping there.
Oh, exactly.
Then of course there's the one kill that Freddy almost got, which was Kathleen Isabel's character, where she's in the dream and then he's about to kill her in that locker, and then sure enough, Jason fucking beats him to the punch. That's a weird way to have a rivalry start. Like, oh, that's my victim. Why'd you fucking take her?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like when it comes to some of the kills, it's like there's a specific thing where between two characters with their kills, and that's like I've already mentioned to you, which was you have Freebird's character who gets cut fucking in half.
Mm-hmm.
But Kelly Rowland's character, same kind of distance between the two. She gets whopped with the fucking machete, flies to a fucking tree, and she's not cut in half. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But other than that, when it comes to the gore of this movie, a lot of people do say that back in the day they wanted to make this movie PG-13. I'm like, no. That movie does not deserve to be PG-13. It should have been fucking R, and thank God it was a fucking rated R, because the amount of gore in this movie, top notch.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to the aspect of the fight, now we get two fight sequences. We get the dream world one, and we get a real world one. Now, of course, the real world one is like, you think Jason would have more of an advantage. This is where the movie really falls down for me, because basically Jason gets his ass kicked the whole entire fucking movie. Except for, like, maybe a few sequences. But, like, this movie being at New Line, the house that Freddy built, you knew Freddy was basically the favorite in this movie. So, of course, this pissed off a lot of Friday the 13th fans. I mean, I was one of them. I was cheering for Jason in that movie when I went to go see it in theaters. But when it comes to the fights, there are good ones, especially in the dream world. What was your favorite part in the dream world fight?
Probably when he found with the water thing. Oh, it was fun. It was good. It was smart.
I'll get to that part. What about the real world fight?
Real world fight?
Yeah. So there's some good bits with the real world fight. There's some good bits.
Yeah, there was. Probably the hanging upside down with a tanker.
Oh, that fight?
Yeah.
Okay. So like in the little sandpit area thing, that little structure. For the dream world fight, for me, it's basically the I want to say it's the pinball. I want to say it's the pinball part, because it's like, that's so fucking Freddy. You just do that. Mm-hmm. For the real world fight, it's a toss up between the beginning of it, where it's in the cabin, and on the dock, where Jason starts kicking ass. Those are the only two key parts. I think we both can agree. The air tanks, that was stupid.
Yeah.
I think that was dumb. I was like, why did Freddy fucking result to that? But other than that, when it comes to the fight, there's like, the two fights come at the end of the fucking movie. And we're stuck with the boring fucking characters throughout the whole fucking movie. And then little glimpses of Freddy here, little glimpses of Jason there. And then there's finally the fight. The two fights. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. That was one of those things that really just disappointed me in that part. But when it comes to the fight itself, who do you actually think really won?
Oh, Freddy.
Freddy, you think won?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for years I said Jason won, because the minute the arm gets ripped off, I'm like, yeah, Jason won right there. No. Jason barely does any fucking damage in this movie. I mean, he does that part in the dock with the slashing of his machete, but that's it. Like, Laurie kills Freddy, not Jason.
Yep.
Freddy basically fucked him up throughout the whole entire fucking movie. It was Kane Hodder that was Jason in this movie. It would have been a lot different. I guarantee there would have been more brutality from Jason towards Freddy.
It'd be a 50-50.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more of a 50-50. Now, I did mention this part because I was like, I had to fucking talk about this. Okay, so what is the one biggest flaw in this movie that you feel like just it dumbs it down for you? Like, it's the one flaw in this movie.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Oh yeah, okay. You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but for me, it's the dramatic acting.
Oh yeah,
the Romeo and Juliet crap. Like, oh, don't go.
All between Linderman and Kia, and then Lori and Will. Yeah.
No, and then slow running with the fire in her arms.
The sticks on fire, yeah. The slow running, the over exaggeration of acting. Oh, the two worst fucking lines in this movie are Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How do we use that? Like, that's a dumb fucking line. And then follow that up with Kia saying, y'all two killers, fucking, we're not safe awake or asleep. It's like, well, no, technically you're safer awake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jason. Like, fucking, come on now. And then of course, thank God, like, I know a lot of people love this fucking stupid fucking goddamn part in the script, but thank God it never made it into the movie. The place your bets line, I fucking always thought that was cringe. Thank God it never made it into the movie.
Yeah.
It was only for the trailer, but whatever. For me, when it comes to the one thing that just dumbs this movie down is the overall bitch slap disrespect to the Friday the 13th legacy. The fact that Jason is afraid of water in this movie. And when Freddy, like, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, like, Freddy, like, he falls down, water starts spraying all over the place, and then Jason's afraid of water all of a sudden. So when he turns into a kid, and then Freddy sticks his fucking blade into his skull, and we finally see Jason in, like, I guess his dream state or whatever the fuck. What's going on? He's carrying a body to some weird fucking house. But what's he walking in? Water. How do you make a character afraid of water, but yet he's walking in fucking water? And also on top of that, when Jason goes to Elm Street, it's raining. So he should have been afraid from the start. So I don't know why they decided, let's put that in there because we have to have them both afraid of elements. But, like, Freddy didn't even fucking act like he was afraid of fire at all. Even though fire was all around him, it's like he wasn't even afraid at all. So, like, why'd you guys make Jason look weak compared to Freddy? And then, of course, like, it's just the whole nonsense of how they shit on the lore of Jason in this movie, because they like, New Line acquired the Jason character. And I understand why they decided they can't fucking do certain flashbacks to the other films like they did in the beginning with Freddy. They showed his whole fucking history practically, except for Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Right.
But the whole Jason one, like, they only go back to when he drowned, his mom. That's basically all they could reference. That's all they could do. They can't reference the fact that he died on Friday the 13th or anything like that. They can't do that because they didn't have the rights for it. But just the whole nonsense of, if you're gonna change your character drastically for this film, you better remember some other fucking films, because, I mean, as we all know, Jason has killed people in the lake. He's not afraid of fucking water. In fact, part 6, that one scene where Jason is walking right into that water towards Tommy Jarvis. Mm-hmm. I don't fucking understand why they made him afraid of fucking water in this movie, but I don't like the fact that Jason's look, like, over years, like, that look has always been modeled as, like, the definitive Jason look, but it never was to me. He has this samurai sword looking fucking machete, and I don't understand what's with the coat thing. I don't understand it. The mask didn't even look the same either. Like, if you're gonna pay tribute to Jason's lore, where's the axe wound?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, where is it? So now, basically, with all that being said, now we can sit here and say, like, okay, so now we're going to give you guys our rating. I mean, like, there's the end sequence too, right? So, what do you think the end sequence is? Like, what do you think?
About it?
Yeah, like, we see Jason walking out of the water with Freddy's head, but Freddy's head wings. So, what do you think is the clear indication to that?
There's a sequel.
A sequel that never fucking
It
happened.
never happened. It was talked about.
Do you think it was Jason was dreaming?
That's a possibility too.
Okay, so you think Jason was dreaming. I think Jason was dreaming too, unless they're like, if someone confirms, like, oh no, Jason wasn't dreaming. Okay, then why is Freddy's eye wink? Why is there a laugh? I don't fucking know. So when it comes to our ratings for this movie, we have to give it 3 ratings. Still one of those movies that you check your brain at the door and just like, fucking 2 slasher villains coming together and killing people and trying to kill themselves. Because ironically enough, this was like the last movie before all the horror films started getting remade. Because you gotta remember, the early 2000s, it was all about horror movie remakes. And hell, even in the same year, we had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fucking remake, which criminally underrated. It's a good fucking film. But yeah, with Freddy vs. Jason coming out in 2003, it's basically one of those movies that it's kind of like a weird time capsule of a film. Like, you can tell it's 2003.
Oh yeah.
It's not like if you were to sit there and tell me what's a movie that's timeless.
Timeless?
Like, timeless. Like, you watch that movie and say, yeah, every year it gets better and better.
Oh, A Christmas Story.
Okay, so he's going there. I would have went with T2, Terminator 2. It's a movie that's timeless. This movie, like, what we mean by timeless is basically a movie that you can watch every single year and it doesn't feel like it's dated. This movie, you could tell, is dated. It's definitely 2003. But other than that, yeah, when it comes to this film, it's still one of those films that we can still turn our brain off and watch. It's like, hey, remember this film? But as a crossover film, it's not quite the greatest. Especially if they should have just did some better writing to it.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, guys, that's our review for Freddy vs. Jason on the 20th anniversary. I know you still enjoy it from time to time. I still kind of enjoy it from time to time. But other than that, that's basically it for us, guys. I know I wanted to do this movie review for the 20th anniversary, and you ended up telling me you wanted to be a part of that. And I was like, yeah, cool. Let's do that. But other than that, guys, that's it from us. This has been the Ginger Snaps here. My name is Steven Harrold.
I'm Chris.
And we will talk to you guys later. And always remember, guys, stay spooky.